The start to another week on the farm here, and we finally got the last parts for our clutch here after waiting for like another month. And with that final part, we were able to get the clutch all put back together. So I'll be putting out a separate video just showing how to put this clutch all back together. I don't know about you guys, but I think we need to fill up all this empty space out here in the shop with something. I think that'll probably work. The 9280's been plugged in all night, so we'll have to see if it'll start up. It took way too long, but we finally got this thing inside the shop. During the winter when it's a little bit slower, we always like to run the tractors through the shop. That way we can kind of grease everything up and check things and then change the oil and do kind of all our normal service. And then we got some other things we actually have to fix on this thing though. So we did have a lot of issues with our AC compressor this fall. That was not very fun, not having air conditioning to end off seeding time. And then we also have our accessory seal kind of leaking behind this thing too, so we're gonna have to get that fixed as well. We're gonna pop the hood though and see if we can get a little bit more room in here. So that definitely gave us a little more room to work in there, and it actually gave us quite a bit more light as well too, but man, I was not sure if it was actually going to hit the basketball hoop up there. And as much as I'd like to get started on this project, I do have to go get some chlorine for our drinking water today too. Just down here at the river, dropping off our chlorine, but tell you what, the neighbors' cows are way more tame than our steers are. And I must have came down here at drinking time because there is a bunch of cows making their way towards the river. Should we hop way over kind of this way? You can see some of them going over this way as well too. And since I haven't tore anything like that apart since I was in college, I don't want to mess anything up, especially with the timing on the engine. So I figured I'd better watch a bunch of YouTube videos so I know what I'm doing. Then I remembered we actually probably had a book for it. And so I did end up finding the book for the 855 Cummins. So hopefully I can figure out kind of step by step what I'm doing with this guy. Another day and we're gonna start kind of tearing this thing all apart. So I talked to the boss and he said I don't have to take off the fuel pump and kind of this piece and everything else. He said on the old Versatiles they were able to just kind of take the puller itself off and get to the seal that way. So that's kind of what we're gonna try to do anyways. So I'm gonna have to take off like the shield and then all these belts and everything else too just to get to it. We got all those belts taken off. Now the next thing we're gonna have to do is actually get inside of there. And it's really hard to see, but there's a bunch of bolts and then a big nut. And we're gonna have to take all that off. And then we're gonna have to somehow get a puller inside of here too. We just don't have a ton of room to work with. So we got down to the point where we're gonna need a puller to get this thing off of here. But this is one of those times where it just takes a long time just trying to get the right tools. So first I had to find a puller that would actually work for that thing. But the rod we had for it was way too long. It wouldn't even fit in there. So I had to find a bolt that was the right size, and it was kind of interesting because this thing uses fine threads, not coarse threads, and we don't have a ton of fine thread bolts on the farm here. So I did finally find one. However, when I found that, the threads were messed up inside the actual puller, so I ended up having to kind of ream the hole out and clean it all up, and so we finally got it cleaned out. We got a bolt that should work, and now we should actually be able to kind of get this thing tore apart. Man, this whole day's been just kind of wasted on looking for tools. So this thing actually turned out to be not quite wide enough. And so then I could have swore we had a different style puller somewhere. So I spent about another hour just digging around stuff, and I did find this one. So this one should definitely work, hopefully. We're at the fun part of the pulling operation here where we got a nice long bar attached to our ratchet there, and I'm pretty sure this thing's just about ready to pop off there, but I'm kind of see. I'd rather stand not right here. Usually, yeah, either these things just either pop off with a lot of noise or they just kind of come off with no problem. But man, this thing is just super tight. There we go. Just like that, we're off. So last night we got our pulley off of here, and our next step is going to be kind of just cleaning all of this up, and then we're going to be pulling that seal out of here. And with everything all tore apart now, I was able to get our parts ordered, so we do have a new seal coming, and that should be here Monday. And then also, we have a new kind of outer sleeve coming on Monday as well. So it's kind of tough to see, but there's a little teeny tiny sleeve on the outside of this pulley, and it's really super hard to see on camera there, but it is kind of pitted out right in the middle there. So our new parts should be here on Monday, which means I'm probably going to end up just kind of cleaning up the rest of the shop here. I already got a bunch of the stuff moved off the bench. I want to get this clutch kind of out of the way. That way I can use this table for other things if I need to.